Welcome everybody. This is Wargamer Shawn. I'm going to do my, I guess, answers to the questions and answers I got from last week's question and answer. I got, I think, let's see, I got 8 questions, which I appreciate. Last time I did it, I think I got like 1 or 2, but my channel's a little bigger now, thanks to a lot of people. So I'm going to get into the questions that people asked me. Idik Beer asked the first one, and he said, "What would you like? Who would you like to play from YouTube and why?" And that's a big question because, like, I think I'd pretty much play anybody that's in the Legion. Everybody that's in the group seems pretty nice. I might if I played a game with Callum, I might want to cut his hair. Just kidding. But otherwise, I'd pretty much play anybody. Everybody seems like really nice. I'm just joking around. Anyway, I guess I'll go through the first person. How could I not mention Nick Idik Beer? He just seems like a really fun guy. He seems like, just a really nice, bloke. He'd be a fun guy to just hang around with. I think have a pint with, have a beer with, and the problem is logistics. We both have kids. We both have full-time jobs, and it's a big jump over the pond for both of us. So I don't know how soon either one of us will probably see each other. Hopefully someday. I would like to see you someday. If I get back over to England, I've been there when I was younger, but it's been many years. It was a nice country. I went to London, and I went to see the what's the name of the town that is Stonehenge? I'm sorry, it's outside of a town of Stonehenge, and I've been to Bath, and I went to Wales and in Scotland. It's very beautiful. I would like to go back at some point. London was cool. It was cool to see some of the things, historical things there. But I don't know. It's a city. I kind of like getting out of the city. But it's cool. Anyway, back to the question. Definitely, I would play Nick. Hopefully, he'd play me. I'd love to play him. I'd play him with anything. Just kind of, I kind of like to do more of a whatever he wanted to play, but I mean fluffy or that sort of thing. I would obviously also certainly been influenced by Dave and Matt from Mini Wargaming. Dave was the second channel I really watched after I started watching Way of Samhan, which is Fritz, Wargamer Fritz, who I first started watching. Dave seems to love doing banter bat reps. I think he'd be fun to just kick around with, have fun. Matt, my competitive side would like to take him on and kind of try to match my skills against him because I think he can. I respect him as a player, and I think he'd give a competitive game. Third would be Wargamer Fritz. I think he's a smart player. He's been a long time player like me. I think he started in Rogue Trader like I did. I think I think he's around maybe around my age. I'm not sure exactly. But I really respect him as a player, and it'd be fun to just hang out with him too. Fourth would be Ace Face. I would love to play Ace in a competitive game, much the same way as Matt. Mini Wargaming, I respect him as a player, and I think it would be fun to play him competitively. I think it would be fun. Whatever he wanted to play, like if he wanted to play Tau or Nids, I'd play something different. Just because it's not always fun playing the same armies against each other. I would also like to play Mammoth Studio Painting. And I'm really bad. I'm blanking on your name, and I'm really sorry. He just seems like it'd be a cool guy to like relax and hang out and just shoot the crap with. He'd just be cool to hang out with, I think. Dark Artisan. I would play either a casual or competitive game. I have a lot of respect. I'd like to see how I know he's mentioned he's tall. I don't know how tall he is. He said he'd like to be 6'4", which is what I am. I consider myself tall, so I'm kind of wondering where he's at. I'd like to compare height. but he seems like a cool guy. I would hang out with him. And number 7 would be Tattoo for You. I would love to have a casual game or just hang out. Seems like a really cool guy. What's not to like about him? He's a nice guy. Commissar Warwick. He seems like he'd be fun in a casual or competitive game. Um, Winter CEO. He seems like a really cool guy, and I really want to crack at that cheesy 30K list that he runs. I'd take him on 40K. I don't really know 30K that well yet, but it's a good army, and he's a good player. I would take him on with a 40K army. Anyway, and then the other number 10, the 40K orcs. I really want to crack at that Super Friends list that he runs because I want to break it. Anyway, it'd be fun to play that list. Otherwise, if he didn't want to play that, I'd play orcs, or he could play orcs, and I'd play something casual too. I don't care. So that's Nick's question. I know it's kind of a long one. Sorry. Number 2 is from Tattoo for You. He says, "Where are you from? And what is the thing you love most about the hobby?" And he said he was my turn to grill me, but he only asked 2 questions. I think you can do better than that. Because I hit you with like 4 or 5 questions. I think like being really obnoxious to you. Sorry. Anyway, where am I from? I am from, obviously, the United States, in case you can't tell my accent. And because I'm probably kind of nasal, I'm from the Midwest, from Wisconsin. For those not in the United States, it's one of the states that looks like a little, I guess it's maybe the opposite when you're looking at it. Little thumb is facing into Lake Michigan on the Great Lakes. And it's near the border of Canada. Kind of in the Midwest, and it's on the other side of the border of our state is the Mississippi River, kind of where it starts and goes down. So that's kind of where we're at. And sorry guys, kid emergency there. So I'm in Wisconsin. And what do I love most about the hobby? I think the biggest thing, growing up as a kid, we did things as a family, kind of like, I guess Sundays were kind of our day usually. I mean, as we got older, it wasn't always so much, but where we do like either like Saturday or Sunday, we'd do like a family day. We'd usually like play games, talk to each other, kind of communicate and have fun together. And so I really, because of that, remembering that, I really kind of fell in love with games in general, and the more complicated the better. I really like strategy games, and so I guess like the way I look at it is 40K is kind of like a hobby, but it's also your escape from reality. So it's when you've got things going on with your day and life and career, kids, that sort of thing. It's kind of like that little escape that you can take a few hours, hopefully once a week, and just hang out with a friend and just play a game and be competitive or not be competitive. It doesn't matter, but just go and have some fun and just kind of forget about everything else for a little while. I don't mean that it's a bad thing, the other things, but it's just kind of an escape for me. That's kind of the way I kind of look at it. I like just hang out with friends and stuff like that. So I like the game a lot. Now, obviously, I created this channel originally. I kind of started a league in our area, and so I did a review kind of 7th edition, which is I think it's the second video I created on this channel. And I'm sorry, you can look at it, it's kind of dry because I'm just kind of going through. I wrote down all these rules that changed from 6th edition to 7th edition and kind of went through them so people could kind of watch and be able to kind of get caught up on 7th edition. So that's why I initially did it, and I was going to do things to kind of help with the league, create videos so people could kind of look and like, okay, here's how we're doing things for our league. And ended up kind of doing a channel and kind of really falling in love with it. I kind of got started because Orcs came out soon after. The 7th edition Orc Codex came out soon after I'd done that. After 7th edition, it was the first codex, and so that's kind of how I started the channel. So sorry, I got off track again. Question number 3 is Tactica Imperialis. Um, have I gotten a hold of the new Gazgul release? And what are my thoughts on it? I have. Overall thoughts. I'm disappointed in GW. I kind of was hoping that they realized that there was a problem with that codex, and I thought, oh, this is going to be like a quick, kind of a fix, like a thing to kind of help update. And what I've kind of noticed, unfortunately, with some of these supplements that are coming out, or in this case, supplement codex, is they're not really changing the points that much. They're maybe adding some rules or adding some things. And honestly, I think in order to make orcs really kind of competitive, it depends on what aspect you're looking at. Obviously, if you're looking at competitive, I think they needed to do things kind of like lower the points. I think they needed to change either the Gorgonaut and the Morgonaut to honestly how many points it costs. It's almost as much as an Imperial Knight. It ought to be a super heavy or something that keeps it more alive, because the way it is, it's not worth the points. They're cool models, and I actually have a couple built, but they're just not competitive. I mean, they just are too easy to kill. And orcs are just so squishy. I know they want to make them a horde army, but it doesn't really work that well, and it's hard to play them in a tournament with a time limit and be competitive. The new Dicurian, I was excited about it. I think, oh wow, it's cool. You can wog every turn, including the first, and if you have Gazgul as your warlord, he's got a 2-up invulnerable for the whole game. That's awesome on paper, but the only way to get him is you have to take that whole group that's from it was even in the old Gazgul Codex. It's like kind of his command group, so it's got him, and it's got a Big Mac, which is like Orchimedes, I'm imagining, which is his main Big Mac, and then you have to have the Mad Doc, Grotznik in there, and then you have to have 2 war bosses, and then you have to have a Knob Squad. And that's really expensive to do. I mean, you can get, even doing it cheap, it's expensive. It's a big point sink. And then your core detachment, you either have to take a ton of boys, or you can take less boys and take like a Morgonaut and a Death Dread and Grot. I'm forgetting the Grot Dreadnoughts. So it's a big point sink. So I'm disappointed in that, because I think it would have been nice to be able to, like most of the other Dicurians, there's a way to get an HQ, just one single HQ, and it would have been nice to get Gazgul without having to take that big tax. They did add some things. They added some flyers, so they have like 3 Dakajets, or they have like a mixture of things. I think the other ones aren't that great. There's one where they can fly off and they can get the bombs back, but honestly, I don't think it's worth the points. The 3 Dakajet one potentially. Everything else really didn't change. The only thing that changed with you have to take 5 battle wagons. I apologize, I'm forgetting the name of the formation, but it's the same as it was as Scout. But the cool thing is now when it rams with its ram, it counts as a strength 10, which is nice. It's almost like the old Death Roller, so that makes it a little better. But taking 5 battle wagons, I've actually run that formation before with a CAD, and it's just so expensive to have those things that I just don't think it's worth. I don't think you're gonna see it that much. So I guess in total, like I'm gonna do a review on it, but it's cool. And from a fluff standpoint, you got a Dicurian now, so it's kind of cool, because the orcs didn't have that because they weren't doing it yet in the 7th edition codex when it came out. But I think they needed to lower some points, change some rules, and to make the orc codex better and make it more competitive again. So I'm a little disappointed with it, to be honest. I mean, I got it. I get every codex. I'm gonna get it, but I kind of heard rumors before that it was kind of disappointing. So I wasn't that surprised when I read it. So anyway, for some reason I think GW doesn't. I mean, they want orcs to be like the main bad guy, but they don't make them very viable a lot of times. It's disappointing. So that's my thoughts on the Gazgul supplement. Sorry. Number 4, Warforge asks, "What's my favorite thing about 40K?" Um, that kind of gets back to what Tattoo for You asked me. I love games and strategy games. I, kind of the escape. I also really like the community, especially since kind of doing videos and joining Legion of Gamza. Big thanks to Idic Beer, because kind of really getting me involved with this. I kind of started getting involved with this painting group, and he's such a supportive guy. I mean, everybody that is here knows that he's a really awesome guy. I mean, he really is. What more can you say? But he really kind of got me involved, and it's a great community. It's very supportive. I just love everything about it. So it's really great. I also like the hobby. I like converting a lot. I like converting, and I like painting a lot too. It's just the hard thing with I love painting, but the hard thing with painting, since I've had kids and stuff, is that a lot of times I don't get a chance to really kind of start working on painting until really late at night, sometimes like 9 o'clock, and then it's hard to kind of really get going on it. And then maybe I get one model done, or part of a model done, so it's kind of hard. I like painting, but it's the time, it's hard, especially if I'm airbrushing, it really takes a long time to kind of, you got to clean up and everything after the airbrushing. So I like it, it just isn't as easy for me to do now. The Art Wagner asked if GW made the Emperor kind of wake up and basically be fully corporeal again, and GW put me in charge, and what would I do with his story? How would I advance it? There's a lot I would do to advance the 40K timeline. As for the Emperor, I honestly think he wouldn't necessarily come back as a whole person. My if I had any say, I mean, if GW made me and I had to do it that way, I guess I would advance it. But what I always think is going to happen to him is when his body ends up failing, and he's going to become a god in and of himself. He's absorbing souls to kind of feed him to stay alive. I mean, it's basically doing just exactly what a chaos god does. I don't know. Maybe he's going to come back. He's going to be a chaos god. Maybe he'll be a god of. I always kind of think of him because he kind of wants order. I've always kind of thought of him as he ended up being a god of order, kind of fighting chaos. I don't know if that's what GW would do with him, but that's kind of always what I've thought of him. I mean, in the history, and the more we learn with the Horus Heresy, that he may have potentially made a deal with the Chaos Gods, although that could be them lying to Horus. Who knows? The Emperor wasn't perfect, and he certainly was kind of a dick sometimes. So, nobody's perfect, and I'm kind of glad that they haven't, made him that way. But I do think ultimately he did want to kind of help advance humankind and give order and make them the dominant species in the galaxy. So I think in essence he really was trying to look out for humankind. Whether you agree with his methods or not. I think if he came back, and he actually came back in corporeal form, he'd be pissed as hell that everybody's like worshiping him, since he basically said he wanted to do away with religion and not have people worship him, and he kind of went after the Emperor's children for, worshiping him as a god. So I think he'd be pretty pissed about that. But who knows? I mean, he'd probably look at the sorry state that they're in and kind of be really disappointed. Who knows? I think if he did die, it would, be a jolt to humanity, because the Astronomicon would die. Maybe his essence, if he becomes a god, would maintain it or enhance it. I think depending on the truths that they've told in the 30K lore, who knows? Maybe Chaos will come to collect on their deals. I don't know. I do think he's powerful enough to resist, and he's potentially set up to kind of gather human souls to make him stronger. It'd be kind of cool. I would kind of like to see him as a god of order. It would really be cool, but I don't think it would ever happen. It'd be kind of cool if when he died, if he became kind of a god, that if him and Magnus could kind of reconcile and maybe kind of work together again. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I don't think Zeech is necessarily going to let one of his favorite demon princes go, but I don't know. Who knows? Number 6, William Parrish, reading. I was reading the Thousand Suns book. Are you planning on building an army of Thousand Sons? For 40k, I already have one. I have Armon, and I have a Terminator, like Zinch Lord, and I have like three like 10-man squads of Thousand Sons groups and rhinos, and then I have like um, a a defiler that's kind of painted in Zinch colors, and a Helldrake that's Zinch, and so I have a lot of things kind of Zinch. I have some Terminator, actually I have a ton of Terminators that are Zinch. I don't really use it that much. I don't really use my Thousand Sons that much because they're right now not super competitive. I've played a few fluff games. I actually had a game where I played that somebody I played against had Black Templar, and they went up against me to try to stop me, and I was basically with Ahriman and a Demon Prince and Thousand Sons, basically trying to get this relic that basically would kind of help him kind of solve the rubric. So that I've played some fluffy games, but I would like to see Chaos Space Marines get better and maybe help Ahriman in there. I really like Ahriman a lot. I think he's really cool. He's got a lot of cool story. Um, I'd like him to be a good competitive um, uh, sorcerer in the Codex, but he hasn't really ever been that good, unfortunately. Um, but as far as 30k, I did buy the 30k book or box set that came out end of last year. The like Kolth one. That it was a really good deal to kind of get into 30k, and I've bought some upgrades for like backpacks and shoulder pads and chest pieces and head pieces that I'm going to use on some of these guys that are Thousand Sons that came out like late this year, early this year or late last year. So I do have, and I've been kind of collecting some stuff for them to make a 30k army. I really want to get a 30k army and kind of get into it. I haven't really done a lot with them yet, and the reason why is Thousand Sons don't have an army list or book yet. I know I could play them out of the original book, but the problem is I know when the 30k, their rule book comes out, they're going to have special rules, and so I'm hesitant to build an army up, and then when they get their list, it's like, oh, that doesn't really work for them anymore. So I'm kind of holding out to wait until they get an actual book, which I was hoping was going to be at the beginning of this year, but it actually ended up being other things. And supposedly the end of this year is when they're coming out with Space Wolves and the Emperor's Guard and the Sisters of Silence, kind of the Nulls. That kind of fought on Prospero. So I'm hoping that comes out because I would like to start building that up, but I don't have anything really built. I also have a Dorado dreadnoughts that I want to incorporate, and I have a Securin and a couple flyers that I want to have with them too. But like I said, I haven't really started on it yet because I'm kind of waiting for the rules to come out. So number 7 is Growly's Lair. What's the best and the worst thing about where I live? Well, I like Wisconsin, but I've kind of lived here most of my life, so I do like the season changes, but particularly fall. I really think it's beautiful when the leaves change, and we get a lot of colors here. It's very beautiful, so I really like it. The area where I live is pretty liberal. It's a pretty liberal city, so I like that. The worst thing about my where I live, I would say Governor Walker. For those who about it, people out of the country probably don't, but he was really responsible for kind of leading anti-union laws and union busting, and really kind of changing some things that kind of ended up affecting a lot of the other states in the country to kind of get similar laws passed. So he's definitely not a man of the people. He's a man for the special interest groups, and he's very much in the pocket of like the Koch brothers and special interest groups. So it really he really irritates me, and he's done a lot to not. And supposedly he's done so many things to kind of help bring in jobs and bring in things into the state, and it's actually fallen since he's been in. And he actually tried to run for president in the primaries, but he kind of dropped out pretty quick because he's not a very good public speaker and he sounds like an idiot. Why people keep voting him in, I don't know. I certainly don't vote for him. So that's sorry about politics, but that's the worst thing I would consider about this state right now, or where I live. Number 8, our last question is Chief Live Wargaming. As a Chaos player, I would like to hear your thoughts on Demons rules in the new Wolfen supplement. I was wondering if you were going to do a mini codex review on the supplement. For question and answer, do you think that these new detachments and rules put in for Chaos Demons are good place competitively? Are they in a good place competitively in the near future? I am going to do a codex review on them. I'm a bit behind. I'm sorry about that. I haven't done really one since I haven't even done Mon Ka yet. The second Tau supplement. I did do one on the Gene Stealer cult because, like Harlequins and like Wolfen, those are things when I used to play from old. Like they got rid of the Gene Stealer cult after 2nd edition, and 2nd edition ended the Harlequin Codex until recently. But I've been really super excited that those things kind of are bringing back. My favorite edition was 2nd edition because it's really when they started having individual rules. Rogue Trader was very open and you kind of create your own things. It was kind of a mess. But 2nd edition, they really started kind of making codices and codexes, individual books on armies, and it's my favorite one. It took a long time to play a game, but it's where my heart is because that's where I kind of really got into it. And so it's kind of cool to see some of these armies come back. They kind of narrowed things down for a while, especially 3rd edition. I really hated 3rd edition. Simplified things out, and now it's kind of diverging again. And 7th to me is kind of like, I think the game continues to kind of get better, and they're bringing stuff back, kind of the fluffier stuff from, 2nd edition. And so I got really excited. I want to do a Gene Stealer cult review. I've been really excited about the Wolfen too. I haven't gotten a battle report up. I did film one recently, because my stuff isn't painted, but I've been playing Space Wolves and Wolfen a lot, and just playing with Wolfen. The last couple weeks, I've run the formation. It's the Wolfen formation, and I've run actually 4 units of Wolfen. It's not necessarily the most competitive thing, but it's a lot of fun. So I've been having a lot of fun with them. As far as the actual rules for Chaos Demons, I think Chaos Demons have still been competitive even before this supplement. I think they were starting to kind of lag behind. They weren't top tier like Eldar Tau Space Marines, but I think this new supplement will kind of put them back up towards the top tier again. A lot of things changed. The psychic powers, they got 3 more. They got each god except for Khorne got 6 psychic powers and a Primaris power, and the Tzeentch one got a D-shot weapon, which is awesome. I mean, it's like it's a D-shot to kind of work against like Gargantuans and super heavies. It's great, especially given one that has a good ballistic skill, like a Demon Prince or Fate Weaver. Someone like that can really do a lot with the D-shots. I think the formations, the Nurgle formation and the Khorne formations are really powerful, really good. The Taliban for the Nurgle, I think, is great. You have to take a lot of Plague Bearers and Nurglings, but who cares, really? They're great. They're great. And the cool thing is, you can get an objective, and you can leave it, and it's still your objective until the enemy comes back and gets it, which is amazing, really. It's really good, and so I think it's a good one. I think the benefits, like the Herald can do, and he's get a 12-inch bubble instead of just the unit he's in, and he can give him the loci of basically the one that gives him feel no pain. I'm forgetting what that one is. It's a 2nd level one. That's great, and a 12-inch bubble is amazing. Plus, you can't overwatch when they're charging. Super great. And they have an effect on your strength and I think it's shoot, is it just strength? I'm gonna check quick because sorry, it might be toughness or it might be strength, where it modifies that. Sorry guys. Yeah, strength and toughness is reduced by 1 if you don't pass a leadership test when you're in close combat. Well, that's amazing. Think about, an Eldar or a guard or someone that's toughness 3, and then all of a sudden they become toughness, 2. It's amazing. Plus, even reducing like a Space Marine down to strength 3, they're not hitting you as hard. It's great. I mean, the Taliban is great. The other one that I really like is the Khorne one, because you can take a ton of Flesh Hounds, which are just absolutely amazing, and you can take a Skull Taker or a Herald on a Juggernaut, and they also have the 12-inch bubble. All of the special formations that have a herald with it, their loci has a 12-inch range, which is great. The only problem that I have with like the Slaanesh one and the Tzeentch one is attacks on stuff is so high. The one with the Screamers too, you have to take 9 units of Screamers, and it's 3-man unit. That's a ton of Screamers, which most people I don't think have, and it's a lot of points. It's good. I mean, you can go doing a lot of late game objective grabbing because they're jetpacks basically. But I think it's a high tax, and I don't think they're as good. Some of the units you have to take. The main Tzeentch one, you have to take like Flamers, which really aren't that great anymore. So those aren't so great. I've always liked Soul Grinders, and there's a 3-man or 3-unit of Soul Grinders that if one does a wound, then the other 2 Soul Grinders in the unit for the rest of that phase get to reroll the hit into wound if the first Soul Grinder did a wound to something, that's pretty cool. That's a bonus, and Soul Grinders are cheap. They're great. I like the Tetrad, where it's like the 4 Demon Princes, and you have to take the different marks. The problem with that is Demon Princes are kind of expensive. Having 4 of them gets kind of pricey, but I still think it's cool. I'm probably going to play around with it. They finally put rules for Be'lakor in a book instead of a data slate, and they have Scarbrand in there, who's cool fluff-wise. He's pretty worthless as far as game goes because he doesn't have wings. He's just walking around. And they put the Bloodthirsters in there too. So I think it's good. I think it's worth buying the supplement if you're a demon player. I actually think there's more in the Wolfen supplement for demons than there are really for Space Wolves. I mean, some of the Space Wolf formations are okay, but I don't think it really has a lot of new rules except for the Wolfen and the Iron Priest, which I really wish they would have left them as an elite choice, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think it's good, and I think it does make them more competitive. I'd like to see Chaos Space Marines get some love there now, except for Sisters of Battle and Inquisition. They're the oldest codex out there, a printed codex, which really sucks. They need to update them, I think. Or the other thing I would like to see them do is although I don't think they're going to do this because they just kind of re-upped the Chaos Demons Codex by doing this, but I was kind of hoping they were going to do Demonkin so they kind of mix Chaos Space Marines and Chaos together in different gods, and so do Chaos Demonkin, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Nurgle, like they did with Khorne. I don't think they're going to do that. Or they might, but I don't think they're going to get rid of Chaos Space Marines. But I would have been fine getting rid of it if they did all those, gods things separately, but I don't think they're going to do that. Anyway, yammered on a lot. So this has been my question and answers for this week. If you want to leave questions down below, and I can do another question and answer for the next set of questions. Anyway, thanks for asking. I appreciate you guys watching the video and asking the questions in the first place, and thanks for letting me be part of the community. Until next time, happy wargaming and keep on gaming, guys.
Goodbye. 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 Bye-bye. Goodbye. See ya. Bye for now. Bye for now. Goodbye. I like bottoms.